Hey, it's Patrick. I'm back with another classic course. This one's before I was even adding myself to the bottom corner, so it feels kind of weird watching it, but hopefully you can still get something valuable out of it. So without wasting any more time, here's my old course on how to animate jittery text in Rough Animator. This class will teach you how to turn regular text into vibrating, animated titles using the line boil technique. For our class project, you will learn how to animate any text you choose. You can pick your favorite font or just use your own handwriting. This class is for beginners, but all are welcome. Welcome to this class. The first thing we want to do is we want to create an image. So let's go ahead and open up a photo editor or a graphics program. I'm going to use an Affinity Photo, and I'm just going to create a new document. I'm going to create it at 1080p, 1920 by 1080, 72 dpi. This works. Let's go ahead and open. And the first thing I want to do, let's just create a background of white. Okay, and then I want to grab the text tool and click and drag, and it'll give you your size. And so we'll just eyeball it. And then I'm going to type good vibrations. Now the font, if you want to change it, go ahead and make a change here. This will work for me for now. And it's a little bit big, so I'm going to drop the font down here. Select that. Let's go drop the font down to about 144, and then I'm just going to center it right in the screen. And this is what I want. So let's go ahead and export this as a JPEG and hit export. I'm going to name this Good Vibrations. I might save it to my desktop. Okay. So now we're done with this. So we can hide it. And now here's our JPEG that we just created. And now we want to bring that into our animation program, which we're going to use Rough Animator. So let's go ahead and launch Rough Animator. And we're going to create a new project. And I'm going to create this at 1080p, so these are the right settings here. And let's hit OK. And let me zoom out with my keyboard, or here as well. Holding down the Option key gives me the negative, and I can move my canvas where I need it. Okay, so I want to bring in that image that we just created. So let's go File, Import Image. And here it is on our desktop. And let's open that. And you see how it's highlighted pink? At this point, I can move it around or scale it, but it's fine where it was. So I'm just going to click anywhere in the gray here, and that's going to release it. Okay. So that has been placed onto this, what's called layer 1. And let's go ahead and rename this text. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to drop the opacity of that down and drop it around, a quarter. You can still see it, but that's all we want for now. We need to create a new layer on top of this. So let's hit Modify Layers and Add Empty Layer. And we created layer 2 here. So let's go ahead and rename this Animated Text. Let's call it that. Okay. So this is the layer we want to be drawing on. So we're ready to draw. So let's grab our brush and let's go ahead and get started. So at this point, I'm going to grab my brush tool and let's go ahead, zoom in a little bit here. With our hand, go ahead, center that, and grab the brush tool. And instead of using my mouse at this point, I'm switching over to my pen tablet, and I'm just going to start tracing. And let's pick our color. Let's grab a black. And you can pick any color you want, but for this, I'm just going to use black. And I probably want to go a little bit thicker than that, so Let's bring the brush size up to 15. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And what I like to do is keep the smoothing off for this because it's going to give you those little variations. If you turn it up, your line work is going to be smoother and you're not going to get that hand-drawn look. And I'm just tracing the background. And you can see it's kind of wavy, but that's what we want. We want that waviness. We don't want perfect line work because then, as you'll see, we're not going to get the effect that we want if everything looks the same. So if I hold my space bar down, I get the hand, and I let go, and it goes back to the brush. So you can see over here, if I just hold the space bar down, it turns into the hand. So it's an easy way to move around when you're zoomed in. Okay, so we've got our first drawing done. So the next thing we want to do is we want to do add drawing, and we want to click add after. What that's done is it's given us our second frame. Now you notice that the background went away, and that's because we need to go back down here and we need to add a frame. I'm actually going to add one more because we're going to do this 3 times. So back up to our animated text layer, and let's just do it again. Just trace everything, and when we're done, we will check how to do timing. Okay, actually I don't like that D, so I'm gonna grab my eraser tool and I'm gonna clean this up. Back to the brush. There, a little bit better. Okay, and now we want to add one more drawing here, and that'll be our third drawing. And let's do it one more time. Okay, so we've got our 3 drawings, and now we need to get the timing of this done. For our purposes, I want to make a 4-second clip, and we're animating on 30 frames a second. So 4 times 30 would be 120. So we need 120 frames to give us 4 seconds. So let's go ahead and take our text layer, and I'm going to change that to 120 frames. And now you can see the timeline goes all the way to 4 seconds, actually. If I hit one more frame, there, now you can see the 4 right there. But 120 is what we want. And let's go ahead and pull back on our timeline horizontal zoom, and that way you can see all 4 seconds together at once on the timeline. And you can see we've only drawn 3 frames so far. So we're going to see how that we can animate this the full 4 seconds. So to give our 3 drawings some animation, we need to first add 2 more frames to make them 3 frames each. And this is basically animating on the 3s. So we could animate on 1s or 2s or 3s, and we're going to choose 3s. And you'll see it's going to give us a slightly different look if we animated this on 1s, 2s, or 3s. So now we need to add a drawing, add after, and it gives us this. And now we're going to click Make Cycle. And now you see that we've starting our new cycle here. And as I add to the frames here, it's looping the animation. Let's go ahead and type in 110. That should get us close. Yeah, okay. And then one more. Okay. So now you can see it's going to loop. Every one of these is a loop of this original 3. So let's go ahead and go to the beginning and play that and see what it looks like. And that looks pretty good. Now, though, I did forget to turn off the background, so let's make that 0 opacity, and now we can see one more time. So that's the effect with the animation on the threes. Now, if we want, I can duplicate this and show you what animation on the ones or the twos would look like. So let me click Modify Layer, and we're going to duplicate the layer. Okay, I'm going to turn the opacity down on one layer. And on this layer, I'm just going to, what I want to do is I want to delete the one frame from each of the drawings. So now this is animation on the twos. And when we do that, the cycles get shorter, and we have to add a few more frames to the end here. So if I go to click on one of the loops here of the cycles, then I can just add a couple more frames. It gets us to the end. So let's go ahead and play that and see what animation on the twos looks like. And it should be faster. Yeah, you can see that it's vibrating faster now. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Let's call this on the twos. Okay, I'm going to rename this threes. And let's go ahead and show you what it looks like on the ones. So let's click Modify Layer, Duplicate Layer, and I'm going to rename this ones. So let's turn the opacity down here. And if we're on our ones layer, the same thing as before, we're going to take this from 2 frames down to 1. So 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. And now this is really going to vibrate because animating on the ones is going to give us a different look. So now we click on our cycle, and this number, we need to add a few more frames so that it'll fill the end there. So let's just do that now. Okay. Now let's go to the beginning, and when we hit play, it's really going to vibrate. And that's what animation on the ones looks like with 3 drawings. So you can pick whatever you want out of those. I happen to like the look of the threes, so let's bring that back up, and let's play it again. You can see the difference. So this is what we're going to use. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and at this point, we're ready to export and bring it into our video program. So you might think, well, I want to put this over a video in my video editor. And so I'd like to turn the background off, and the words would be black text over empty background or transparent background. But that's not how Rough Animator works. So I'm going to show you a trick to get the text to show on top of a video. So if even with the background off, and the only layer on right now is the black text, and when we export, we're still going to get that background. So let's export a QuickTime video, and let's just call this good vibrations. And save that to the desktop. Okay. And then let's go hide this and take a look at that. So here it is. And if I just play it real quick, you can see it's got the white background. So let's go ahead and take this into a video editor and see how we can get the black text over the video with transparency. So let's launch our video editor. And in this case, I'll use Final Cut Pro. And I've already got a test project set up here. So let's go import this test video. And so if we get our clip into the timeline there, I'm going to turn the volume off. We don't need the volume. Okay, now we're going to also bring in the movie we created with the animated text. So that we can just drag that right on top of the clip. And if you hit play, you're just going to see the white background. But so here's the trick. With the animation text layer selected, we come up to blend mode and we switch it from normal to multiply. And now you'll see if we hit play, the animation happens on top of the video. So that's a quick trick. Depending on your video editor, everybody should have multiply as a blend mode option. Now there's another way to do this, and let's delete that layer. Let's hide Final Cut for now. And let's go back into Rough Animator. The other way to do this is when we're doing our export, we can export as a PNG sequence. And if we click that, what we want to do is we want to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this example 02. Okay, now we're going to save a bunch of still frames into this folder. And you can call this, whatever you want. I'll just keep it that. And it's going to create PNGs. Now we have to hit include alpha channel here. And when we hit save, it's going to export every single frame as an individual frame to that folder. So if we hide Rough Animator, and here is the folder we created, and here's all of those separate PNG files, and there should be 120 of them, and it does say 120 in there. So if we select any single one of those, we should be able to see that they're transparent. Now, just in my preview, it doesn't show that, but if we take this and drop it into photo editor, you can see it's got transparent background. So most video editors, you can import this folder with the PNGs, and it will merge them into one image sequence animation. Final Cut Pro doesn't do that as far as I know, but a lot of others do. So that's why I gave you two options, because some people prefer the PNG output method versus having to import the white background and using the multiply. So there's two different ways that you can get this on top of your video. Or if you just want to have animated text on a color background, that's what we've got. If we want to go back into Rough Animator, we could, in this point, change our background color. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's pick like a blue, and then our paint bucket tool, and then we're just going to click. And you can see the background is now blue, and you can see that our layer here on the threes, it does show that it's transparent. It's not showing that it's got the white background. Or you can import an image and just have it be on top of an image. And then we'll just go do one more final export. Actually, let's do a GIF. Let's try that. Export a GIF, and let's save it to the desktop. And I'm going to just call this example 3. And it's giving you an option for resolution. I just leave it on 100, and we will export that. And this is going to give us something better used for the web. Now, remember, GIFs won't have any audio, but this clip doesn't have any audio in it anyways. So if you wanted something to put on a website that's animated and is going to loop, a GIF is what you want. So let's just take a quick preview of that. And there it is. And you can see it just continuously loops. So that might be a good option for someone that wants to have a little animation on their website that you can embed. One final thing we want to do is we want to remember to save our work. So let's go back into Rough Animator. And you can see by the dot here that we have not saved our work. So let's go up to File, click Save, and save it to the desktop. And I'll just call this Good Vibrations. And .ra is for Rough Animator. Hit Save. And now our work is saved. If we hide Rough Animator, you can see that this is our Rough Animator work here. Congratulations on completing this Skillshare class. But we're not done quite yet. let's recap what we've just learned. Today, we learned how to add animation to your video titles. We created titles in a graphics editor for use in Rough Animator. If you don't want to do this step, you can always just hand draw the words you wish to animate right within Rough Animator. We then set up our project within Rough Animator and imported the image we created in our graphics editor. We went over how to trace the words in Rough Animator using the brush tool, the eraser tool, and the hand tool. Timing is important in animation, so we went over the visual differences between animating on the 1s, the 2s, and on the 3s. Remember, the shorter the number, the faster the vibration. Rough Animator gives us 3 export options, and we went over all of them. We used the multiply effect within Final Cut Pro to add the animation to our video clip. We also talked about why a PNG image sequence might be the right solution for your video editor. And for anyone needing an animated looping image for their website, the GIF option is what you want. Finally, we went over how to save your work within Rough Animator. And thank you for taking my class today. I hope you were able to learn something valuable. This has been Patrick Davidson, the Expat Animator. See you next time.